on this episode of Unglossy.
Def Jam was that brand, like in terms of everything you thought Def Jam was, it was. You know what I mean?
From the top.
Yeah.
I'm Tom Frank.
I'm Mickey Factz.
And I'm Jeffrey Sledge.
Welcome to Unglossy, decoding brand and culture. I'm Tom Frank, partner and chief creative officer at Merit Creative. This is Mickey Factz, hip-hop artist and founder and CEO of Pendulum Inc. And that is Jeffrey Sledge, a seasoned music industry veteran who has worked with some of the biggest artists in the business. We're here to explore the moments of vulnerability, pivotal decisions, and creative sparks that fuel the relationship between brand and culture. Get ready for a thought-provoking journey into the heart and soul of branding, the unscripted, unfiltered, and truly unglossy truth. And now, part 2 of our conversation with Chris Atlas. What are some of the craziest cool projects that you did work on that you're most proud of from those days?
On the music side,
or on any side.
Well, I mean, it was a lot. I mean, I think we actually on the Cornerstone side, we were one of the original companies that helped to start the Through the Wire campaign for Kanye. You know, and you know we all know what that record did for him in terms of just kind of starting what was and has been an incredible career for him. We did a great campaign with Boost Mobile called Rock Corps, which was a give back community-based program where kids were invited to volunteer time for community service and receive Boost Mobile phones, and which at the time it was all about the chirp and everybody beep, beep, you know what I'm saying? So Boost Mobile was a great a great project at that time. We also worked on Sprite and the Sprite remix, where the idea with Sprite was they remixed their flavor. So they had, for that short period of time, Sprite Remix, which was a variant, if you will, of the Sprite formula. And, we did a whole campaign with, creating custom remix vinyl, utilizing certain artists at that time, DJs, just to kind of to merge the remix concept with actual vinyl and artists. And also, at that time, Cornerstone was one of the companies that Microsoft actually hired to do seeding and marketing for the Xbox. And this is when Xbox first came out. Getting one of those Xboxes was like coveted. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize Cornerstone had its hands into so many things. And far.
And again, I feel like at that time, Cornerstone was definitely one of those groundbreaking, strategic, marketing companies where it was new territory in a world where it's very common, and part of just marketing across the board.
It was early with the branding. It was early with the brand marketing.
Yep.
Very early.
Yep.
Rest in peace, Rob Stone, obviously. And I met Lupe Fiasco. First time I met him was at Cornerstone.
Yep.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. That was my first time going to Cornerstone. Cornerstone was known for their in-office party.
Yeah, the parties was lit. The parties was lit.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, great party.
The Cornerstone mixtape. Don't forget the Cornerstone mixtape.
Yep.
I was lucky enough to be on that. But Lupe was doing the cool listening at Cornerstone. And I was representing Laced Magazine at the time. Because, Steve and Quaz, they owned the magazine and I was the editor. So they was like, yo, go down to Cornerstone and, meet with Lupe. Because it was a media event for Lupe and the Cool. And I'll never forget. This is my first time seeing, because I didn't meet Chris that day, but that was my first time seeing Chris Atlas. And that was my first time meeting Lupe. And I'll never forget the conversation I had with him. This was 2007. And I was like, one day we're going to work with each other. I don't know when, One day we're going to work with each other. And a year and a half later, the first time we worked together was in Japan. We did a show together in Japan. And, that would not have happened, right? And I'm pretty sure you helped or probably put that together for him, that particular event that happened. Because it was basically playing the album before it came out.
Yep.
So that was like, and obviously like a couple months later, I was in the Fader. That was my first magazine press that I ever got, was the Fader.
Yeah, Fader was big, man.
Yeah.
Wait, so how did you transition from there to Def Jam?
And again, I think from Tommy Boy to Cornerstone allowed me to expand beyond promotion. And that's when I actually started to make the shift from promotion to marketing.
Okay.
Right. And then part of making that shift was when the Def Jam opportunity, became available. It was for a SVP, head of marketing role at Def Jam, and this was 2008. And again, I think that the knowledge from Def Jam, understanding radio promotion, A&R, to the knowledge that I acquired at Cornerstone with marketing, strategic marketing, brand marketing, kind of put me on the longer trajectory to continue in marketing, which again opened up the opportunity for me to work at Def Jam. And Grace Harry at the time at Def Jam,
Yeah,
Grace.
of course. Yeah, we worked together at Jive.
Yeah, she was the head of creative at Def Jam at the time, and she kind of recruited me, based on this position, and knowing me and knowing my work, and kind of went in, and working at Def Jam was a completely different experience.
Was LA?
That had to be wild to be the head of marketing at Def Jam at that time too.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, and at that time, I got there in 2008. L.A. Reid and that regime had been there since 2004. So there was a lot of success. There was a lot of egos. There was a lot of talent, right? And Def Jam was that brand, like in terms of everything you thought Def Jam was, it was. You know what I mean? Relative to just the level of, I guess, fire and competitiveness and fierceness, and just that made it as great as it was as a label and a brand. So to step in there, I'm not gonna lie, like my first couple of months there, it took me a minute to get acclimated and realign, you know what I mean? And it wasn't necessarily because I wasn't good, or I wasn't competitive, or instinctual. It was just a different company and a different way of being and working, right? And it's like, how when you go to a new team, you know what I mean? And you used to be in coach one way, and then you go to another team and you have to understand, like, all right, you're good, right? But this is how I coach. You know what I mean? And this is how I want my players to play. You know what I'm saying? So once I did that, you know what I mean? Then I was rocking. You know what I'm saying? And I, again, like, just some of the incredible artists that were there that I worked on, Kanye being one of them, Rick Ross, Ludacris, Jeezy, Jadakiss, Jeremiah, The Dream. Like, I mean, the list goes on and on. And
who's list, yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of extends to, the evolution of the roster, which you had the newer artists that came in, whether it's a Logic or an Alessia Cara, You know, but again, I think that there was just this commitment to the artistry, the dedication to great music, the dedication to just doing, beyond the norm, and the level of competitiveness, that was just super present at that label. And I feel like, I think I might have had like one of the longest runs in
Yeah,
that
you did. Yeah.
position as head of marketing, because I was there from 2008 to 2017. So that's almost 10
Yeah.
years.
Good
You know
run.
what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's a
It's an
great
amazing
run,
run.
particularly
Yeah.
at Def Jam, and just the level of competitiveness and expectations at that company. But it was a great team. That was a great team of executives: Pecos, Bartles, Gabby Peluso,
Gabe,
uh,
Gabe
um,
and Felicity.
oh man, Gabe, yes, Gabe, Rodney Shealy. Like, there was an amazing list of executives, at that company. And, again, I feel like that's one of the things that I will attribute to, just success, is like the team that you have with you, that works with you, that you can lock arms with, that you could share that same vision and goal. In Cornerstone, we had a great team. Tommy Boy, we had a great team. Def Jam, we had a great team. Um, so that's, to me, that's always an important factor, who you work with, just as much as who you're working on the artist
Yo,
side.
were you there when Hove was there?
No, like, because Hove left like 2007,
Oh, so you just
you
missed them.
know,
Missed them.
beginning of
Okay.
2008, you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? And then there was still Hove Records, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? But like, in terms of like, him being the
Yeah, he
president,
was gone.
like, he started to transition out when I got
Okay.
there. I can't forget Nas,
Oh
worked
yeah.
with Nas, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So now, Jeffrey, am I allowed to dive in on fat beats at this point? Because I'm
You
dying to
asking
know
me
more.
or asking Chris? You said Jeffrey.
Yeah, you're guiding the
I
ship
mean,
here,
nah.
so I need to
Yeah, I mean,
know.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Why not? I mean, no. You skipping Warner Brothers. You
I mean, I want
skipping
to
Warner.
dive
You
into
skipping
fat
Warner
beats.
Brothers though.
I am skipping Warner Brothers, so let's hit Warner Brothers. But I want to know how you end up at Fat Beats, because I'm very curious about. I have this curiosity about Fat Beats.
Okay, all right. So the Warner period, right, was a transitional period, right, where I was exiting out of Def Jam. The opportunity for Warner came about via a good colleague, friend of mine, Larry Matera, who had went to Warner to kind of help with the uh, evolution of the company, which at that time was very rock focused, legacy focused, and wanted to make a run into the frontline contemporary, mainstream space on both the rock side, but the urban side. So, I was, recruited to come in and help uh, revamp the urban side of Warner, right? And in that period, I had to move to LA, which I'm a New York guy. Everybody that knows me knows I love New York. I don't mind traveling, but I love being in New York, right? So I had to move to LA for that position, which was cool, right? And I think at that time there was definitely I think a migration of a lot of New Yorkers that were going to
Mm-hmm.
LA
Mm-hmm.
because the industry and labels were shifting out there. So it was almost like a rite of passage, right? So during that run at Warner, was part of, again, revitalizing the urban side, and we had some great successes. Little Pump was at Warner at that time, and he's one of those SoundCloud phenoms that was huge. Anything this guy put out, gold, platinum, right? But we also signed Wale, and brought him back, and had a very gold album, double platinum single. Sweetie, who everyone is knows who Sweetie is, where she's still having success, and she's had a number of great hits. Um, Shorty Shorty, uh, Freddie Gibbs, like again, just a number of really compelling urban acts, right? So I was at Warner for about 5 years, right? And in being there, still in LA at the time, and being there, unfortunately, I had a traumatic personal um, uh, situation that happened, and it required me to kind of leave LA and come back to the East Coast based on just you know supporting my family, taking care of my family, doing what I had to do. And in coming back to New York, it kind of just changed the nature of what I needed to do at Warner, right? So um, I left Warner in 2023, and for a brief period, I was doing my own thing, with my own company. I wasn't within a label, and this was like I think the first time in 20 some odd years that I was not at a company. So, and I want to talk about this because I think it's an important not only time for me, but an important growth opportunity and something that I think people could, take value in. But that period of not being at a label where most of my career had either been at a label or a major company to having to figure out what am I going to do, right? Was very eye-opening and humbling at the same time. And I'm someone that I always consider myself a humble person, but to go through that and have to either figure out what my own self-worth is and my own self-value is and reposition myself and start anew, right? Um I never thought that I would be at that, point. So the last year was an opportunity of growth and hustle and just real enlightenment in terms of, all right, what am I doing next, right? And fortunately, through the relationships and my reputation, and the success that I've had, I was able to actually work on some amazing projects through peers and relationships. I worked on Usher's album with L.A. Reid, who was a former boss and mentor when I was at Def Jam. I worked on Jeezy's album, which he dropped independently, that he had left Def Jam, which again came from me working with Jeezy, when I was at Def Jam, and there's several other projects. So I say that to say, right, it was rewarding because it gave me confirmation of who I was as a person, how I carried myself as an executive, resonated to the point where I wasn't at a company, I was still who I am, and I was still able to work on these projects and have success, right?
People are still calling you. I mean, it's
Yeah.
all about relationships, right?
It's all yeah,
Yeah,
it's all about relationships, and it's all about what you do and how you do it and your integrity and how you treat people, right? And
yeah.
that led to me having a conversation with Benji over at Rostrum, which Rostrum recently acquired Fat Beats in I want to say December of last year, November,
Right
December
at
of
the end of
last
last
year.
year, yeah.
Yeah, which again was a great business acquisition relative to Rostrum, and Benji has had tremendous success in the independent hip hop space, with acts like Mac Miller and Wiz Khalifa, and he's I have a tremendous respect for Benji because I think he's just a really great entrepreneur and person, and what he is looking to do, with Fat Beats was perfectly aligned with my skill set, but also I think a full circle moment, kind of working at a company like Fat Beats takes me back to those feelings that I had when I worked at Tommy Boy, and the purity of hip hop. As we know, vinyl and physical product is, still at an all-time high, relative to commerce. So excited to continue to expand on that rich legacy of Fat Beats, which, um, quick side note, is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year. The first Fat Beats store opened July 14th, 1994. So we're doing, several things to kind of commemorate the anniversary of Fat Beats, but move Fat Beats and continue to move it into the future, right? Which is continuing to be in a position to support the catalog and the legacy artists that is synonymous with Fat Beats, that whether they have catalog material or new material, there's a home for them, and a place, for them. And find the new classics of Fat Beats, right? Where I think that there's a new generation and there's a new era of artists that, fit the Fat Beats, mantra, if you will, and kind of creating opportunities for those artists where, we can support them on the physical and digital side. It's exciting to me.
So that's an interesting transition, because I mean, Fat Beats is renowned for its iconic record stores, right? And so you're part of what you're doing is, I guess, the future. And how does that store go into the digital world? Or tell me more about, like, what's the vision? How is that moving? How are you moving that forward?
Well, the physical side of Fat Beats, shut down in around 2013, 2014, give or take, right? And again, that was reflective of just the physical marketplace diminishing.
Okay.
And so while the physical stores went away, the digital and physical distribution continued to thrive. And, there's hundreds of labels that are clients of Fat Beats that we offer an opportunity for them to put their product out. And, some labels we distribute and it's a minimum of 100 pieces. Some are 1,000 pieces, so the thing that I think is great about Fat Beats is the nimbleness as to the scale of how they can support and how we can support an artist on the physical side. And, the goal is to grow that on the digital side, where, again, I think that we're in a state where a lot of artists choose and want to be independent. And it's really about having the services and the team that can help execute based on the direction and the vision of the artist, which is something I know fully well about, right? So how I can expand it on the digital side and bring in more projects to actually put through on the digital side while maintaining the physical side is a key opportunity. But also, as you said, Fat Beats has an extremely, reputable brand. So part of the goal is to expand that with the relevant strategic opportunities to put that brand on a global scale.
Would you ever consider almost bringing some of those stores back? I just feel like today, like there's an opportunity here. I think that as things start to, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, one of the goals we definitely have is to, do some strategic pop-ups, because, again, I do feel like there's a customer out there that is, wanting to kind of go and experience that,
Yeah.
So it's kind of relative to how can we do it in a creative and clever way, right? That's reflective of today's times,
Yeah.
and it might not necessarily be having a permanent brick and mortar store, but as we talk about it, if we can evolve that into a way that it's really all encompassing, of what the lifestyle and hip hop experience of today is, then that's the opportunity.
Ooh, I got lots of ideas for you. We're
I
gonna
love
talk
it.
later
We
about
got to talk. We got to talk on the side.
Yeah, we will definitely be doing
offline.
that.
Yeah.
All right, Jeffrey, I'll throw it back to you.
That's what I
now.
say before we wrap up. You got to talk about Pete and Common, bro. Come on.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, listen, again, it goes back to relationships, man, and just full circle moments. And Pete is someone that I think I first met Pete when I was at Cornerstone, and then Common, first met Common in 1995, 96 with De La Soul, right? So the fact that most recently is started working with Pete, and the guys were working on this album. It all came together, at the just almost like miraculously. And I think the success that those guys are having, the quality of that album is just amazing. And they're getting the accolades that they deserve. And I think particularly Pete. I mean, Common is someone that he's a world-renowned performer, actor. He's an ego, right? I don't think he has the T yet in that, but Pete, and what he's done for hip hop, on the production side, is it's just groundbreaking what he's done. So it's great to see him and Common getting their flowers on this album, and kind of working on that and supporting them on the marketing side, and
That's
just
awesome.
kind of moving them around. Again, it's just another just great milestone in what was a true renaissance year for him.
Now, it says volume 1. So was volume 2 delivered to you guys already?
Nah, we don't have volume
Oh,
2 yet.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, we don't have volume 2.
Okay, just checking.
Oh, I thought we were going to get some
Yeah,
breaking news right there.
Yeah, no. That's gonna be on them. They gotta say.
They got to do that, but then they'll be
They
bad.
gotta do that. They gotta do that. But,
That is cool. I didn't realize that you were that involved in that project, because I've been watching it. I think all 4 of us have worked with Pete Rock at one point. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting guy, and I'm kind of excited to see what he's getting these accolades now, which is well deserved.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. They're going on tour. They're going on tour at the end of August through September. So coming to a city near you. And again, I feel like I'm loving the period of music right now, particularly for our OG artists, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, man. It just seems like there's a motivation, and they're putting out great music. The Beat Miners put out a great album. Rakim just put out an album after 15 years or so. You got the Common and Pete album. Ghostface is still putting out albums. I know MC Light, is gearing up for a new project.
LL's
LL,
coming, with Q-Tip.
LL's on the way.
LL's coming. He's putting his project out. And again, as a older statesman in hip hop at this point, I love to see it, man. I think it's just kind of reflective of the evolution that's going to continue to happen, for hip hop and hip hop culture. And I'm excited. To see how these albums continue to come out, and I'm excited to see what's going to be that next wave in hip hop.
As my question here, I mean, as much as you've done in the marketing space and in the promotion space, I'm pretty sure there's been tons and tons of accolades and achievements that you've been able to achieve within your career. Is there a bucket list placement that you're looking for, right? Song in the Olympics, EGOT, your song involved with an EGOT,
Oh man, that's a really good question, and I tend not to look at it like that, right? But if I had to, based on the moment, it would be, Pete Rock and Common, winning a Grammy for this album.
Which is high,
Because
which
I
is
think
possible, which is definitely possible.
very possible.
But I think it's warranted. I think it's deserving. I think their flowers are due. So if I had to say it like right now, it would be that.
Awesome.
Wouldn't that be something?
That'd be
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yep.
All right, we got to end with this. You got what's going on right now? What's some exciting projects right on the horizon? What can you tell us?
Oh man, on the Fat Beat side, excited about a few things we have coming up. We got a new project with Talib Kweli and Jay Rawls that sounding great. We're getting ready, to gear that up. Also, we have Arsonist from the Heatmakers, and he's doing an instrumental project with Fat Beats that we're kind of gearing up for that. And again, I think relative to what we talked about before in terms of just providing new opportunities, Arsonist is someone that, definitely, successful producer, but this is his first instrumental project. So for, me to bring that to Fat Beats and get to work with him and, put that on deck, I'm excited about that. And, again, excited, to continue to create these, new opportunities to, put new projects out from, some of these great acts.
I love it.
Awesome.
Chris, thank you.
Thank you guys.
I feel like my brain's bigger just in talking to you. So, no, I mean, I appreciate it. I can't wait to see what comes next with Fat Beats. It's going to be fun to watch.
Hey, I need all y'all addresses, so I'll definitely make sure you all get Fat Beats t-shirts. I got it.
I'm wearing it.
We don't give out chains. We give out t-shirts.
T-shirts last longer.
That's right.
You can send mine to Jeff since we're in the same crib. You know what I'm saying?
We next door. Next door to each other. Yeah, I just slip under the door. I slip under the door.
Yeah. It's one address. I only got to send it to one address.
I got it from there, Cool, man. Cool. It was a good interview.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, folks. That's our show. Tune in to Unglossy, Decoding Brand and Culture on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. And follow us on Instagram at UnglossyPod to join the conversation. Until next time, I'm Tom Frank.
I'm Jeffrey Sledge.
Smicky! That was good.